On today's Minute of the Apes, I defend my stance on all monkeys being gay. That's why they're called chimpanzees.
They greenlit the sequel without a story in mind. They just wanted to equal an unexpected gold mine. He said, oh no, as Heston said, I got to go. These are just some of the facts you ought to know as we go. Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes.
The only good human is a dead human.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. I've got Rich and Sean. Let's do this.
We're getting closer and closer.
Closer and closer to what, the weekend?
The end of the week, yes.
I was about to say, we're not getting closer to the end of the film.
It's Thursday. It's over the hump day.
Yeah,
What is Thursday?
We've already humped the
Turd day?
What do they call Thursday? It's Throwback Thursday.
Turd day. I like that. Third day.
All right,
Thursday.
we're up to minute 29. Sean,
All right, we're
why don't
minute
you tell us?
29. We've got Zero saying for my bad behavior at the meeting, and then there's Zaya saying some other creature.
Let's take a listen.
For my bad behavior at the meeting.
I don't blame him.
Oh, I don't resent it, but his nails need clipping.
Now, enough of this nonsense. Are you so blind, you two psychologists, that you're unaware that we're on the verge of a grave crisis? You heard the Ursa's speech.
Militaristic tripe.
Zero, perhaps. But now he has the incident he requires to go on a rampage of conquest. But that is appalling.
To remain silent while this bully Ursus is permitted to destroy everything in his path is no longer possible.
As Minister of Science, it is my duty to find out whether some other form of life exists.
Where are you going?
Into the Forbidden Zone with Ursus.
Another manhunt, Doctor?
Someone or something has outwitted the intelligence of the gorillas.
That shouldn't be difficult.
Sarah, we apes have learned to live in innocence. Let no one, be it man or some other creature.
As of minute 29, we have 3 living humans, 4 dead humans, 1 dead ape, a shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans. All right, so again, at the beginning of this minute, we're still with the gaslighting of Zira acting as if Cornelius beats her on a regular.
She
on the reg.
She lets Zaius know who is boss in this moment because she ends with Cornelius hit me for my bad behavior at the meeting, giving Zaius a cue that she's already been put in her place. Yeah. And Zaius goes, I don't blame him, which is so freaking callous.
Yeah.
But she brings it back saying, I don't resent it because I'm, a sweet person, but his nails need clipping. And I'm like,
right there.
Oh, she just said it really didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he hits me, but he got to clip his nails because they scratch so much. And look at my poor precious face.
Yeah. She is awesome. That was fantastic. That little bit of, it was meant to be humor, I think, in the same way that she mentioned being a vet earlier.
But that was throwing a little shade.
But exactly the way this was done, she's basically saying
it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's also the little bit with Kim Hunter raising her monkey brow. And she's kind of winking at the camera.
Again, it was phenomenal. She's really learned how to work this mask in such a way that she can just bring those emotions in there. She looks. Did the masks get better in this particular movie? Did they do something differently? Because she is really.
I doubt.
Within a year, I don't think they.
Well, yeah, we saw those terrible ones in the arena. But
the only thing that I do think, and I don't have anything that proves this, but if you go back and look at the original makeup, it was a brow piece, the nose piece, and then the mouth piece.
Yeah.
The jaw piece is a better way to put it. And you'd see with Maurice Evans where the makeup tone did not match his skin tone.
Yeah.
Right.
It looks to me like maybe they put some kind of latex around her eyes as well, because there are wrinkles there that are not her wrinkles. If you look at Kim Hunter of this era, she was a very lovely woman.
Yeah.
She did not have those wrinkles. So I wonder if they didn't change that. But overall, no, it's still the same concept. Yeah. I think that, just to your point, she's learned how to make that work and to read on the camera, and she does a fantastic job with it.
Hey, but it was kind of fun. Zaius moves past this moment about, this beating moment and says, enough of this nonsense. Are you so blind, you two psychologists, that you are unaware that we are on the brink of grave crisis? You heard Ursus' speech. So,
which I like the fact that they call it the Ursus speech. That the fact that they're naming it, they're saying, hey, this guy is laying this out for people. Let's get in there.
Well, I want to go back before that. You two psychologists. Cornelius was not a psychologist.
mm-hmm.
No, he's a
geologist.
Geologist.
Yeah, geologist. Yeah.
So, I'm the son of a psychologist. I kind of know my dad really well.
Really, Todd? Are you the son? I'm kidding.
What, have I said that before?
To me.
Oh, to you. I was about to say, I don't think I've said it on this podcast, but I know there's a distinction between psychologist, archaeologist, psychologist, whatever.
Anyology?
Yeah,
This
it's
is-
not the same thing.
This is
Genealogy
just
doesn't-
lazy. This is
Yeah.
just lazy on
It's
the writer's
another
part.
point where
Yeah.
it's just like they didn't even
It's
research
the-
their own film.
It's the scientist is the scientist of everything. So
Yeah.
you are a doctor, so that means you can do operation and give people mental advice. And
It's where I've at least loved films whenever, hey, I may be a doctor, but I don't know anything about that.
just
At
'cause
least
I'm
be
an
honest.
MD doesn't mean I can,
It's just lazy.
But it was interesting to think that Zaius came in, again, based upon this minute. I keep doing that qualifier like 8 times every single minute. He comes in to say, I want to have it with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then says, on the brink of this grave crisis, you heard Ursa's speech. So he's bringing it back up. He's actually adding more kindling to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like he came in to say, I want to talk to her about this terrible stuff that she did. By the way, that speech was awful. Oh my God, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's basically what it felt like, right? I mean, he brings it back to that moment. Like he's encouraging her.
That goes to what I was trying to say earlier. I don't understand this film and what the core problem is, because you've now changed Zaius from the instigator of everything,
right,
to suddenly he's sympathetic with people that were trying to defy the speech. I could get that. The inconsistencies of a character, if Zaius had somehow been right beside him at the speech and leading it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we know something's wrong when he hears it and he maybe looks away, and now he reveals it in this moment. But instead, he comes in almost like their grandfather. Then, and treating them like, oh, hey, you shouldn't beat her, but you should know your place. Hey, and let's all chum around. It's
old rules, but, kind of obey them a little bit.
It's totally wrong from the character we know.
Correct.
Just from 30 minutes earlier in the previous film.
Correct.
Completely wrong.
Correct. It was interesting to hear Zaius reveal to us, the audience, when he says Ursus now has the incident he needs to go on the rampage of conquest. So whatever happened with the humans, even though we saw the sauna moment where, he brings famine is what's going to do all the stuff.
Right.
Zaius is now saying, no, that's fake.
And that's what I want to know. The fact that Ursus has the incident that he requires, is that Taylor's presence? Is that the fact that there's
That
a human?
has to be.
No. The
You don't
incident.
think it's a human that can speak and then said, that's the tipping point. We have to take care of humans because they've reached the point where they're just like us?
It's either one of two things. Ursus mentioned in his speech the fact that humans raided their field and they had to be taken care of and dealt with. So the situation is either the incident that allows him to totally go after humans, right? This moment. It's not Taylor at all. I will say this. The moment before, what was not spoken in the script in this scene was a moment where Zaius says, 11 of his guerrilla scouts on reconnaissance in the Forbidden Zone have vanished. And Zaius says, well, it serves him right. And Zaius says, Ursus is determined to have his revenge, all out war if need be. So revenge for those 11 guerrilla scouts.
And when I asked that before, that is present in my mind as well. Here's my problem with this film again, and the only way I can really think immediately is I'm going to draw on Empire Strikes Back again. This would be, so before I said the change to Zaius would be as if you suddenly made Darth Vader passive. The change to this would be as if they weren't pursuing Luke Skywalker because he blew up the Death Star. The film has a correlation. His actions in the last film, why they're chasing. Vader felt something whenever he was chasing Luke down the chasm. If you took that away, it has no propulsion. By not making the incident about Taylor, that's what makes this film feel wrong.
Yeah, these apes just happened to show up at the same place that Taylor was, and they found the same walls and all the weird things that happened and disappeared and that kind of stuff. So
I get those 11. That should be like the chocolate icing on the cake.
Right.
It should be that completely exacerbates the situation to where he is now infuriated because he's lost people because of the presence of this human. That should be the incident.
But agreed. But we're talking about, we have no idea if Ursus knows anything about Taylor.
No, we don't.
We have no idea if Ursus knows anything about Taylor
in this movie, yes.
or Dodge or Landon. We have no sense at this point that Ursus is even aware
He
of
should
anything.
know, but I agree.
Of anything that Zaius and Cornelia and Zira have done.
Mm-hmm.
What we do have at this point, I mentioned it a couple seconds ago, was the fact that there was some type of raid on a field or fields that made the apes hate humans. And we have a situation where he lost 11 guerrilla scouts into the Forbidden Zone, and the one that came back has terrible stories about what that guerrilla saw there.
So
now Ursus wants to raid the Forbidden Zone. That's something he mentioned. That's something Zaius kind of says here. He needs to go on a rampage of conquest. So is it in response to the famine or the fields, or is it in response to the guerrilla soldiers?
Honestly, I would say the guerrilla
It's not
soldiers.
Taylor. It's not related to Taylor at all.
But so, by not showing us a moment where one ape came back and Ursus found out about this, you negate that being the thing that propels him to it.
We should have seen that ape.
We should have.
We should have seen Soldier 12.
It should have been, in retrospect, now that we're knowing more information that's coming on, it's almost as if it should have started off with Taylor and Nova at the end of the first movie. They're going off into another selection, and then you cut to another gorilla that's kind of in a situation that's kind of like Taylor and Nova, but he's the one that's getting freaked out and all of a sudden disappears, and then Taylor and Nova kind of come up in the same situation, and then they disappear too, or even the 11 gorillas or whatever, and you see the 11 have a whole problem, and then the one disappears or runs off, and then Taylor comes up and has the same situation, so that you kind of see that this has happened before.
I mean, you could even bridge that whole thing. You want to show the end of the first film like they did.
A little bit.
Then you shoot some new footage, which is Ursus comes on the scene and he just says, "Go get him." And suddenly it becomes a little bit of a chase scene. It's a little bit more interesting than all the passive writing we've got.
Maybe
and that's what
is happening to them.
Yes.
The gorillas that are chasing Taylor, and whatever's happening to Taylor to him later is also happening to them as they're coming up, and they're being filtered out to the one that's left, and then he comes back. I don't know.
And I want to remind people that may be listening to us that have only caught on to this now. When we break this like this, we're not trying to say we're somehow smarter than they were, but with hindsight and the ability to watch these films.
40 years of hindsight. Yeah.
Right. And to look at it and go, you had a potential just a massive playground to play with, and you could have done these things. Here's what could have made this film actually work. There are films in this whole series, and we'll get to them, that work beautifully. There are films that falter at places, and so we're going to do that. So if you're hearing this and you're offended by it, please understand we're simply trying to talk through and say, what if they had done that?
So we have Zaius saying Ursus has the incident. He needs to go on a rampage of conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Cornelia saying, but that is appalling. And Zira coming in, but to remain silent while this bully Ursus is permitted to destroy everything his past is no longer possible. Right. So she's saying, we have to stand up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what the script had in there?
Hopefully something more.
Are you sitting down?
Hang on.
Literally?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Cornelius, or Zaius, Ursus now has the incident. He needs to go on a rampage of conquest. Cornelius, but that is appalling. When Zira and I first unlocked the secrets of the Forbidden Zone, you intervened at our trial for heresy.
Well, okay, so they cut all the trial stuff out then.
Zaius, I know. Cornelius, we paid the price for our freedom was the vow to you to never disclose our discovery that man evolved from apes. Zira, but to remain silent while this bully Ursus is permitted to destroy everything in his path is no longer possible.
Yeah, they were.
Why are they taking everything out of this?
They basically said they were on trial for heresy, and they were able to get out of the trial of heresy because Zaius knew that they were threatening that man evolved from apes, and Zaius pulled them out of the trial.
Why?
That is such a big point from the last movie. How we get to where we are now, Huge.
And once again, I would feel connected in this world if you continue to, you don't stop telling the story. You don't just